His debut album, The Trials of Knowing, is the talk about the country right now. Not only receiving praise from any and all music platforms, including here on Midlands 103, where we gave it the VIP Album of the Week, but also boasts a 4-star review from the Irish Times. Joining me backstage is the personality behind the talent, the alt-folk singer from Dublin, Callum Orr. How are you doing, Callum?
I'm good, Adam. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm good. And as I said, it's backstage. That's kind of the vibe we're going with here. So a question that I have for you. If you have to have 3 things on your rider, I presume you're familiar what a rider is?
I am familiar, yes.
Excellent. What would those 3 things that you have to pick be for your backstage, for your rider?
Okay. I would say beer and water.
Okay.
And bananas.
Wow. And just like totally non-labeled beer. Open cap doesn't matter, just as long as it's beer.
Just generic, low-grade Orwellian beer. Yeah.
Love it. Neighbouring a good pint of water and some bananas. I feel like that could be an easily obtained rider.
Yeah, I'm a man of very, very simple pleasures, I would say.
Let's get right into it. Let's talk about the influences, because Callum, I've been listening to your album. It's so good, and from a single listen, anyone would know that even in the alternative folk genre, you have an Irish twist in things. You kind of walk a less travelled path, I would dare say, and it sounds so good and distinct. So what has got you to this place in the alt folk genre?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because a lot of people have been saying that to me, and that's something that I wasn't entirely aware of. Like, there's a couple of tunes, one of them is called Dust, the other one is called God's Breath, where I kind of was very deliberately going for a kind of a more traditional, like a very trad influenced instrumentation and for like the subject matter even, and the singing style. But the people are saying that they're kind of noticing it in the other more kind of like alternative songs as well. So that's like, for want of a better term, that's music to my ears, because I've really grown to love the kind of the Irish traditional singing style, and you know, like Paul Brady and a lot of those like the kind of trad revival that's happening across the island now, like bands like Lancome and Ye Vagabonds and Niamh Regan, and a lot of those, like, they would have influenced me hugely, I would say, over the last few years. And so it's great that that's kind of seeping into the vibe of the music, I would say. I'm happy about that, because I have kind of had a return to kind of Irish culture generally myself, kind of over the last few years as well. So it's nice to hear that seeping into the music.
Interesting. And were you ever lenient towards traditional Irish music growing up, or was it kind of more along folk and just the Irish influenced its way in there?
It's very, like, I didn't grow up in a trad household at all. Like neither of my folks are both kind of gave me the music that I kind of grew up with, and that was very, you know, there was a lot of Eric Clapton and Cat Stevens and Dire Straits and stuff like that. So that we were never really a trad household. So that's why it's kind of it's I do feel like a kind of like a visitor to it. You know, I'm very new to it, and I want to be careful not to come in and just start swinging around and brandishing the style, you know.
Yeah.
But it's very much just it's. Since like 2015 or 2016, I've kind of an interest in the style has kind of come to me, and I'm very keen to kind of replicate that myself. I would say I love the way it sounds, and I love the way those modalities make me feel, and like the textures, I like the way they make me feel. So I kind of, you know, you tend to write what you want to hear. So yeah, I guess that's how it's kind of informed the tunes themselves.
I love it. And you're even a man of knowledge when it comes to music. You're using different terms for musicality. So it goes more than just a passion. You learn it, you feel it, and then you're able to express it through your music. And let's talk about that music, The Trials of Knowing, the debut album. What was the experience like for you when it came to creating it? Did you feel any pressure? Was it exciting? Were there any, dare I say, trials that you had to overcome?
Yes. The process itself was very easygoing. I didn't feel any pressure, because, just being frank, music, like, I've been releasing music for 10 years, and it's never really gained traction, or it's never reached a lot of ears. And that's, it hasn't really been my primary goal. Like I've never had like a music career as like a goal. Like I work full time, and music is very much like just a passion that I have outside of that. So I came from a place of I guess, is privilege the right word? No, it's kind of like I had the luxury of kind of, I could take my time with it, and I didn't feel like I had to follow something up. And even just the response to the album itself has come at come as a big surprise, because it took me about 3 years maybe to make this thing. So like you're so close to it that you don't have a good read on like what does this sound like to a new listener? Like you're completely fatigued with hearing it, and
Of
you no
course.
longer hear it with kind of impartial ears. So the reaction to it has kind of really knocked me for six because I really just thought it would go the same way as the last stuff that I've released.
Mm.
Like I released something in 2020 that was like it was nice, and I had a nice year after it, and I played some gigs, and it was well, lockdown happened soon after, but
Mm.
it's really it's taken me by surprise. But to answer your question, no, it was a very easy experience. I was very absorbed in it. It started at a very kind of difficult time in my life, I would say, because a lot of the songs are informed by my mother got a cancer diagnosis, and like quite a scary one, like a stage 4 cancer diagnosis that informed a lot of the songs. And that so it was like a little friend to have during the lockdown where I could kind of just like I had this thing that I was kind of like working away at, and it was just a great kind of outlet and a great way to externalize a lot of that worry and anxiety.
That is beautiful because one of the powerful aspects that I think shines through the most in the album is, the most. It's hard to say. There's a lot of attributes that contribute to the fantastic album, but the storytelling, it just seems so rooted. It feels so real. It feels like it comes from a place that you're familiar with. When we talk about then the album and these influences and where they come from, it seems like it was a good thing nearly that you weren't putting yourself under pressure. I feel like there's a lot of talent out there when it comes to music, and it's a debut album. It's something that's flashed around a lot, and I feel like a lot of bands, acts, solo artists give in to a bit of that pressure. Do you think it was good for you to approach it in such a more relaxed state?
Yeah, I guess it did make me. I think that the more that there is external distraction, I think, and external, if you're considering other people's ears, I think the more that happens, the more the final thing is kind of diluted or affected in such a way that it kind of the honesty of it maybe gets diluted is the word I guess I'm looking for. But yeah, I think that the songs are they do come from an honest place because it's really just it's me doing my hobby, it's right, it's me doing doing my own self-expression, really just kind of like for myself and I like to show my friends who are also musicians, and it's part of like I have a community of friends and we love making songs and showing them to each other, and so I guess the place the thing comes from is I had the luxury of it being kind of a pure place because I didn't expect anyone to really to hear much of it. So yeah, I think that's maybe the appeal of it, is that it's very personal and comes from a pure place, I guess.
Good, and it seems to be, and I would only hope that people do take note of this when they are going into their album, that or a big piece of work, that they can take this kind of approach that you've done, and the results speak for itself. It seems like, as we were saying, it's very rooted in you. It comes from a personal place, and because, as you say, it's not diluted, it feels more pure. It's a more organic product that you're after creating rather than being affected by external sources. And so with the Trials of Knowing on full display for everyone to hear, what is next?
What's next is I'm doing a launch show for the album on Saturday the 20th of July. It's in Dublin, mind you. It's in the Workman Cellar. Tickets are $12. It's a 5-piece band and a string quartet as well, so it's like a big production.
Wow.
Tickets are really cheap. I'm doing it at a significant personal cost. So it's that's kind of I'm not looking past that at the moment because that's like the first time we'll have been playing these songs live, but it's with a group of friends who I've played with for a long time. So yeah, I'm not looking past that right now. I'm really just looking at this launch gig and hoping that goes well. And we've put a lot of preparation into it, and it's a big production. And so I'm not looking past that, but we will then probably take that show and do it in some other places around the country.
Fantastic. It sounds so good. It sounds like you're surrounded by the right kind of company. You've got the right musicians behind you. It's going to be an epic night. I wish you all the best for it, Callum. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us after your launch of The Trials of Knowing, Mr. Callum Orr. It's been a pleasure to be backstage with you here on the VIP.
Thank you, Adam. It's been great chatting to you.